Hello, welcome to Meta Podcast, episode 102. Today we're talking about the trench, lower ranks. We spend so much time talking about Divine and Immortal, but we know the vast majority of people, including myself, definitely can't count themselves among that group. The two people that join me can, though, which is a bit frustrating. Marco, welcome. How do you feel today? How are you doing?
Hello. How am I doing? Actually, I'm doing fantastic. I've got some good news to share.
Wow, really?
Yeah, mate, I've got absolutely incredible news to share.
I already know what the news is. Do you want to go ahead, tell the world?
Okay, yeah. I mean, now we've hyped it up way too much.
No, it's a big deal. It took you a long time.
No, yeah. So, I mean, it's brought back credibility to the pod. Basically, after like 2 weeks of sweating in the heat wave, doing Labyrinth level 4, I finally cracked it this evening. So that's a big weight off my shoulders.
Nice. Yeah, man, it's been hot. I've been like sweating out in my room so much. I had to not even have cups of tea. That's how serious it's been.
It's frustrating, that, isn't it? It's too hot to have a cuppa.
I literally just sweat out the entire tea if I drink a cup of tea.
Yeah.
It increases my body temperature by about 20 degrees.
I'm confused what to do now, though, because my life's existence for the last 2 weeks literally was, all right, how can I complete this Labyrinth game? And now I'm done. I don't know what to do with myself because I load into Dota and I'm just lost. I'm like, oh, I'm just useless. And now I've just lost all meaning.
You're like Matumba Man post TI7.
Yeah, literally, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's over. You feel empty inside. Adam has the answer. You just keep going, right?
Yeah, I just keep grinding Ags Labs.
Get the time down. I mean, what is your motivation in life, Adam? What is it? What's keeping you grinding these Ags Labs, seeing as you completed
I think
it?
it's fun, and it's low stakes, and I'm still wanting to fill out the, whatchamacallit?
The tree thing.
The blessing tree. And I like experimenting with the different hero combinations. And I still have only beaten it twice on Grand Mages, so there's, still some improvement to be had. But I have a pretty epic story, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I've been playing Ags Labs. Normally I'm Grand Magus, but two fellow pod listeners, Blackhawk and Trinity, they wanted some help on, what is it? I guess level 2. I forget what that one is. Magician, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
And this was like, yeah, sure. So we try it. We try like 5 or 6 times over the course of a week, and we can't get it done. And then 2 nights ago, we play as a 3-stack. We get this random 4th Omni Knight, and we just have this great run where he doesn't die at all, and we only have 5 deaths total between the 4 of us, and we just clear it easy. Like, we struggle the previous 5 or 6 times, we just blow it, and then this time, super easy. It was like, yeah, we did it. We'll try level 3. I think that's Sorcerer. I can't remember. We'll try level 3 tomorrow. So the last night, we're like, okay, we'll do it. Let's give level 3 a try. It's harder, but we'll give it a try. 24 hours later, with the same 3-stack, but on a different difficulty level, we queue and we get the exact same guy as the night before.
What?
No way.
Oh my
word! And we win. So they first tried difficulty 3, and it was just so ridiculous that, like, separated by a day and a difficulty level, that we get the same player because he's already cleared tier 4 because he has the voice line. So it's like, why would he be playing these random difficulties? He gets like filled in, and we just like stomp it.
Oh, what a hero! Omni Knight.
The first time he played Omni, second time he played Winter Wyvern. But it was just like, you're definitely it's so strange that, I mean, I want to know what like the odds are that you get the same dude, like the same random 4th that actually carries, and then just separated by a day. It's really strange.
Yeah. it's so cool when you get the same person in multiple games. Sometimes it happens in normal Dota as well. I know a few people on my friends list have been people that I've randomly queued with again, like a week later or a couple of days later or something like that.
Yeah, you've got does that teammate stats page in your profile is really interesting at showing who you've played with and your win-loss with all your buddies. I think say you've got 5 or more games, and I've got someone on there, some random that I think it's 7-0 with, so some random pub guy.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
Yeah, it's fun when you go to like Dota Buff, you can click on our profile and be like, this is what, as a teammate or against, like, oh my gosh, I've played against this, or played in a game with this person like 10 times. I don't even recognize their name.
Yeah. I have a feeling. Did our big friend of the pod, Loot Monkey, start with me queuing with him twice or something?
I think it was like random.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do, or complete, I suppose, how our games have been, and then we'll do a question.
We'll say Blackhawk and Trinity and I are going to try Grand Magus tonight, so maybe we'll first try that. And it just turns out that would be epic. Also, it'd be great because Marco took so long to try and do it.
It feels bad.
Always like failing at 5% HP or just failing on ags, and we just like clear it first try. That would be pretty epic. Although I'm not holding my breath because I've probably played it, 40 times and I've only done it twice. Yeah. Ags is significantly harder when you have to get them down to 0 as opposed to like 20%.
Yeah, that's rough. Does it go down each time? Each level up's like another 5%, or is it just the last one you've got to completely kill him?
I think it goes like 20, 15, 10, and then I think you have to get him down to 1 HP in the last one. But the thing is like, it's one of those things where you want to get him to half and then like just DPS him down really fast, because the longer you drag it out, the faster those like blue balls he sends out travels, and those seem to destroy people. Can't dodge them all. No. I don't even. Have you played it, Stan?
He's done level 1.
I've done level 1. I had a bash at level 2 today, but didn't get to the final boss.
Yeah, it just gets so much more difficult. It's like if you get hit by one blue ball, you just die. So it's a lot more punishing.
Yeah, the whole run's more punishing. I was watching.
Same with the trap rooms. Like, you get hit once, you're dead.
I was watching the Void Spirit boss round. I think it was level 2, and you can get hit by the Earth Spirits quite a few times. But you go to like difficulty 3 or 4, you get hit once, and it's just GG. Like everything's just so punishing. It's insane.
Yeah. Any real Dota to report?
Oh, I've got some molding.
Not a single game on my part. So
damn.
Go on, let's get this mold out of the way. Let's go mold.
So I was full molding. Played a game a couple of days ago.
Is this Flame Corner? Is this worthy of an early Flame Corner?
I'm not really. I'm Flame. I don't know if Flame's the right word. It's just mold. Okay. I'm like mentally pretty tired. Grinding the Ags lab. All right, let's do this five stat game. Obviously, like Rusty, etc. Okay, the state of the game is both teams go from like Herald to Immortal kind of thing. About 5 players in the game have got maybe 800 games of Dota. Enemy team on the load screen. Here's what's that? Like when it shows one hero and gives you some stats. Enemy Tinker level 25, 800 games played. I'm just like. Me with my POS 1 ogre, just like, I know this is not going to go how we want it to go. So then after like 15 minutes, we're kind of holding our own. And then, obviously this Immortal, literally 800 games, and literally like 5 of the 10 players in that match have played less games than that. So obviously at 15 minutes plus, he then just pops off and I just get molded like anything. So I'm just like all chatting like, just mold, just molded in all chat like, sad fucking Tinker player, what are you doing? ZZZ and all this. And then I just get molded when they reply like, why are you mad, bro? Oh my god, kill me now. It's just like one of those destined to doom kind of games. It's just no hope. So coming back from the lab into that, I was like, just fucking get me back in the lab. Just hide me away for another week because this is painful.
Yeah, that feels bad. My own games, not much to report this week. I had another weekend away, another long weekend away in a row, so I'm really living the luxury life. Did manage to get some games in today, though, in preparation for next week, which is going to be a big week. Come back to that in a moment. But yeah, so I played 3 games of carry today. A game on Jug, game which you were in, Marco, is a pretty sad game. Then a game on Faceless Void and a game on Brave King. So not a lot there, but next week I have a full week off. Was going to go on holiday over that week, but my flights, well, it was meant to be TI, actually. It was meant to be TI that I booked a week off for, and now obviously it's not happening, so I'm just taking the week off. So rather than watching Dota, I'm going to be playing Dota, I think, because the weather's not very good. And, yeah, I think I'm going to have to make a play on Divine for after Loot Monkey flamed me with a question in the Q&A a couple of weeks ago, so... Which, maybe this won't be the official question that we'll do, but kind of ties in a little bit to the whole pod topic, which is about climbing, about playing in the trench or the lower MMRs. I'm considering what my best approach is to climbing, trying to get some MMR in my week off. And I think at the moment I'm thinking I'm going to do carry and try and get 2-3 heroes. I think I've been thinking Faceless Void and Wraith King, although I did just lose a Wraith King, so I'm not sure about that. But definitely Faceless Void, which will be interesting because I've never tried to climb on position 1 before, so I've always done it on mid and or off lane.
Well, you took that personality test, right? And
yeah,
you realized that you're a carry player.
Yeah. Watched a video, Jenkins video on YouTube. What Dota personality are you, or something like that? And then realised that all this time I would have just been immortal if I'd played carry, because my true life essence is that of a carry.
So what is that life essence?
I think it's being calculated, being patient, not being like a hot-headed, moulding mid player that I thought I was. And actually I'm just a slow and steady carry player, just hitting some creeps, just chilling out, choosing my moments.
I mean, just think about it. If you play safe lane, you don't have to worry about runes.
That is a very good point, actually.
If you don't get molded about runes, surely your win rate jumps like 5%.
It's a true point. It's definitely a true point. Because I know I have like a 20% chance to get the rune right. Whereas my mid, if I'm playing carry, my mid probably is 50-50. So there's a much better chance of us winning. Yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
So what's this target? How strict is the target? Are you giving yourself a week to climb 2-3 stars, or are you going to be a bit more lenient?
No, I'm not. That's like the lofty goal, is to get back to Divine, but not necessarily now. But I'm hoping to maybe get a star or 2.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested to hear how your carry goes on, because you've played obviously lots of the mid, mostly mid, and then just a few spicy carry games here and there. But if you're going to focus on playing carry, I think that'd be quite fun to see. We should do a duo together. I'll play Pods 5.
That would be fun. Yeah,
double down tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah, get the tokens involved. Yeah, so I'll report on that next week, how it's been going. Not a lot else to say, I suppose. Marco, tell us what this question is that we're going to be considering, left over from the Q&A episode.
So, question from Noob Cybot. Big shout out. It's a great good question.
Do you guys know that reference?
He told me what's it called? The Mortal Kombat or something?
Yeah, he's a character in Mortal Kombat.
What's the name?
Noob Cybot.
Oh.
And it's the name is like the developer's name backwards, or like one of the founding programmers or whatever. It's the guy's name backwards.
Oh, Tobias.
Yeah, Tobias Spoon.
No way. Oh, so the Mortal Kombat person's name is actually Noob Cybot.
Yeah, the playable character. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I thought it was just Cybot, and this guy added on the noob bit.
No.
Oh,
this was like way back when the character is like before my time. I was I was like 3 when I guess he was in Mortal Kombat 2. Like, I was 3 years old when that came out, so obviously I was not allowed to play that on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
But I figured it was how many people knew what that's from.
Wow.
It's a cool name.
I had Mortal Kombat on SNES. I had Mortal Kombat on Super Nintendo.
Nice.
That was the time, yeah. Although I never really played it. I was too busy grinding Yoshi Castle or whatever it's called, Yoshi Island or something. Mario times. Just while we're on the topic of Mortal Kombat, my Devora is world class. So if any of you want Devora tips on playing in Mortal Kombat X, then hit me up. There you go. That's it. That's all I have to say. My Kotal Khan's pretty good as well. Just throwing that out there.
What a multi-layered tangent this was.
Yeah, you can't just casually bring up fighting games with me.
Yeah.
I have to plug myself.
I'm blown away that guy's name backwards gives us Noob Cybot.
Noob Cybot. Isn't that such an epic,
God, that's
epic
insane.
name to flip around?
All right, well, so the friend of the pod called Noob Cybot, to go on to his question, it's a good question. It says, what hero-specific things do you think are the most satisfying things to do in a game of Dota? So his example is, say, dunking someone with axe.
Yeah.
There's one that comes to my mind very quickly.
There's a universal one that we can all agree on, and there's one specific that I think of that's maybe gets me the most excited. But what's the one that comes to mind quickly for you?
The one that jumps to mind is a big echo. Because of the noise, the visuals, the damage, the control, the rampage that follows, just big echo. That's mega satisfying.
Dropping a big OD hammer's cool as well.
Only for an OD player.
Yeah, I mean the visual and the sound. The sound of OD hammer is so sick. Such a cool sound. Yeah,
I still remember what like in my first year playing Dota back in college, just being able to fountain farm the you drop a hammer in the fountain, right? The game's over, but you get like a rampage because you have so much, Yeah, it was pretty epic. Yeah. I was going to say a black hole, obviously. 5-man black hole. I mean, that's
a big one, yeah.
Epic. Yeah, that lends itself to pro Dota.
I never play Enigma, or when I do, and it's always disappointing. The fake Enigma dreams, it's not real.
Do you remember the guy who would go to TI in the Enigma morph suit, and they'd get a big black hole and he'd jump up and do the animation?
Yes.
Oh,
TI3.
Yeah. That is hilarious.
The one that jumped to my mind outside the obvious ones is Darkseer Vacuum. I just find that very satisfying, especially if you do the Helm of the Dominator with a centaur creep.
Oh, that's next level if you pull that off.
That's so fun. Any vacuum combo that you can do with your team, I guess that gets into just team fight execution or wombo combo. That's so fun when your 5 heroes are on the same page and you don't stack all your team fight abilities together. It actually is vacuum into Ice Path or vacuum into Stormhammer. Anything like that is so fun.
Yeah, definitely. One that comes to mind for me that probably gets me the most hyped or the most likely play to make me think that I'm a pro that's going to be at next TI is killing someone with Psyblades, in the lane as TA. That's super, super good fun. If you get repeated Psyblades on someone and then kill them with a Psyblade on the range creep or something like that.
That makes you feel like a pro.
Yeah, that makes you feel like you're playing in God mode.
And when you lane against someone, you're like, oh God, stop. Why are they doing this to me? Where do I run?
The mental battle that you win from Psyblading someone to death is just insane. I know if I die to Psyblade harass, it's GG. There's no way I can recover.
Yeah.
Yeah. That pure skill. So good.
Yeah. Another one that I like is blowing someone up instantly on Pugna with Decrep Bomb Dagon 5 or something. It's one-shotting a hero.
Ultimate
That's
nuke.
A fun one. Yeah.
I'm surprised Adam didn't say something like the Lich sacrifice spell or pulling off the
dewarding a ward.
Yeah.
dewarding. Oh, I was thought of blind hook shot, like clockwork hook shot. That's fun.
That's a good one, yeah.
Has to be blind though. Blind any skill spell it feels so good. I don't know if you saw that like crit highlight against Arteezy where he Wind Ranger power shotted him 4 times in a row from 4 down to 0.
That was so sick, yeah.
Like if I ever did anything like that, I would feel so good, so amazing.
Also, sorry to go on about a play that probably none of our listeners even know about, but the crazy thing about that play is I swear he could have killed him easily under the tower, but he instead like goes into the trees to get a final power shot.
The demoralization factor.
It was bonkers. Maybe Marco can vibe with me on this one, but another great feeling is nuking like a triple wave or like nuking like a massive stack or like tons and tons of creeps in one go. That's a great feeling.
Yeah, you've got Battle Fury and just like a 4 stack of Ancients just melts.
Yeah, I feel like that answers the question pretty well. I don't think there's any others I can think of particularly.
When I'm Tinker and I rearm and then I TP back up.
When you blow loads of people up with techie mines, when you get some fat techie mines.
Techies going. Is fun, yeah.
That must be pretty satisfying.
Yeah.
It is satisfying.
So. What about a big Mystic Snake on Dusa?
Not as fun now that you don't steal mana.
Yeah.
That's what, like you say, you laugh about Glitch Sacrifice, but I loved that because I was like, I'm taking the XP. Like, I felt so good. Same with Medusa Mystic Snake. It's like, I'm taking your mana. So I guess I must like Anti-Mage then. And like Fiend's Grip. Just draining people of mana. Mana drain from Lion.
You just need to build Diffusal on all your heroes first.
Yeah.
To round it off, Noob Cybot gives a good second example, actually, of finishing a fleeing enemy with a Tidebringer cleave.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is satisfying.
Yeah. Insert attacker Dota highlight clips.
And then I was going to say, add another 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 layers, and then you get to attacker. And just think about how satisfying that is.
Yeah, 100 to 0 invisible bounty hunters that he just sees off of Tide Hunters.
Over like a 2 minutes time span.
Yeah. Finishes them with a blind torrent boat. And you're like, what? How?
Some sick humans out there on their sick heroes. A couple of new Arise Magnus vids on YouTube as well is pretty strong.
Those are pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Like his 4-staff blink stuff is just so fun to watch.
And I swear he's pulling off really, really hard combos, and like in the middle of the combo, he's like faking out an RP like 3 times.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It's like he 4-staffs to get in the blink range, but then as he's like 4-staffing, he's turning to when after he blinks, he's faced the correct direction to immediately RP skewer. So you don't lose like any of the RP duration after you bring him back into the team. It's just, and it's so fun to watch his clips because he's playing with pros too. And like when he pulls off one of those combos, there's always just somebody that's like, Arise, how do you do this? Like, he just gets the credit.
Topic of the day then. We'll be talking a bit about the metagame of the Trench, the lower end Mars, as well as a more general how to play, how to approach sort of thing. Let's start with the most thought of form of ranked Dota, which is, I suppose, solo. And I suppose let's start with carry, I guess? Well, I mean, any role. When you talk about the hero pool specifically, what kind of adjustments? We talked a little bit about this before we recorded, but what changes? What's the difference? I know, Marco, you have strong opinions about spells in lower MMRs. So what heroes would you sort of recommend to people looking to play carry?
I mean, the stats bear out the point that I think is true, that you minimize the number of spells you have to use successfully and the win rate goes up. And the fact that Spec and Wraith King are literally the 2 highest win rates down the line at lower ranks it says quite a lot. And yeah, spec we can say is in a good place meta-wise and all that. But there's definitely truth there that I guess it's ease of execution is what it comes down to. I mean, and if you've got 2 clickable spells, your execution naturally is going to be easier. So I do think that is a big one for carries. I think if you want to get better or climb from a lower tier, then it makes sense to make your game as easy and simple and straightforward as possible. Like, don't play a Beastmaster, or don't play a Chen, say, just play a spec that hits creeps and does like 2 things in the game. They either hit creeps or do like one kind of interaction in a team fight horn, or with a Wraith King, you hit creeps or you just go ham in a team fight once you're fat enough. Just keeping it simple is going to go far. And the stats bear that out.
Yeah, definitely. The thing about Wraith King is that he literally has 2 lives, so if you feed, like, it's kind of fine, and in lower MMRs, people don't really know how to play around reincarnation very well. And you've got a stun, which is, you're always winning when you've got a point-and-click stun, I feel like.
Yeah.
So he's just got a lot of things going for him.
On the tanky vibe you mentioned as well, so obviously 2 lives, but also say a spec and Wraith King, and the lower down you go in the ranks, enemy teams targeting is not going to be optimal. They're going to blow spells on a Wraith King's first and second life, or they're going to blow spells on a spec whilst they just get disabled by other heroes. So, and it's like the Underlord as well, these meaty heroes, which are a bit of a nuisance, and the enemies are going to kind of fuck up by going on you. You're going to have a good win rate.
Yeah, definitely.
And in the case of Spectre, if they go on you, they hurt themselves.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, definitely. Adam, if you're playing carry, like, away from the heroes, say you've picked your spec or your Wraith King or whatever, how does the gameplay change? Do you make it passive, or are you trying to get involved, or what do you think?
I just farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really think you participate unless you press the haunt button. Right? In the case of Spectre, don't do anything until you have haunt up. And then in the case of Wraith King, you probably just farm until you have 2 items, I would think. I mean, it depends on what you're doing. If you want to be aggressive and you go blink and stuff, don't get a blink, get dagger and farm. But if you're going like the Treads, Blitz Knuckle, Rady MKB or something, like just farm the jungle and then press the E button and push out waves with your skellies and rotate through. Just take all the farm.
I think hands down, from a carry perspective, you can climb MMR if you focused on the sole aspect of farming. Like, if a divine player went into Legend and just said, I'm not even going to try and kill enemy heroes until minute 20, I'm just going to do my best to farm and hit creeps, they will have a plus 50% win rate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, I'm just going to try and finich every game 0-0-0.
Yeah, they will have plus 50% win rate. You don't need to be fancy and like intervene in the game and try and make plays, etc. You can, if you're hitting creeps well enough and moving your farm movements good enough, and then get involved once you've got the items, you could definitely climb, just simply like that.
Definitely, and the point is, we're not saying you're going to win every game. There'll be games where you farm and like games lost at 20 minutes. Like, it's fine. You can't win 100% of games in Dota, and you might come away from that thinking like, oh man, this AFK farm style of carry that I'm playing doesn't give me a chance to win because like the last game I played that we had no hope, I just farmed and the game is already over. So yeah, that will happen sometimes. The point is that in the vast majority of the games that won't happen, and you having AFK hit creeps and be top net worth and being really fat, that means that you're playing the carry role. That means that you're going to be putting your team in a really good position to win when you do get involved, because you're going to be so far ahead of the other heroes.
Like, we laughed about my, I think a few weeks ago I talked about my Wraith King game where I went 2-1-2, but I had 18,000 building damage, and we won at like 28 minutes, and I only had, it's like I didn't do anything, but at the same time I did everything. Because it's like, if your guys are winning the game 4v5 and you're farming all the camps and getting fat, like, don't join in on that. Like, you're already winning the game. If your other team is getting, or the rest of your team is getting kills, you just secure the late game.
Yeah,
Definitely.
They don't need you to like win even harder unless they're taking a high ground. It's just, farm.
because in that game, hypothetically, if your 4 teammates start to then throw a little bit, overextend a little bit, because you've been keeping up the farm, keeping your momentum, keeping your snowball going, like you say, securing the late game if need be, if they kind of fuck up a little bit, well, you're there to kind of clean up the mess and to finish the game through, say, 30 to 35 minutes. So either that happens, or you get involved with them around 25 minutes and it doesn't actually go very well, and now you don't have any backup plan at 35 minutes. Or in the ideal case, they win the game 4v5 and, yeah, a bit of a free win, fine. Yeah. But yeah, like you say, exactly the right thing to farm and play the carry role where you're going to carry the game.
Yeah, and in that game I remember it was like Wraith King Venomancer against Jakiro Mars, right? And so it was a really hard lane, and I died once, and then I was like, okay, I'm level 3, I'm just going to jungle. And then I just jungled and farmed the entire game and didn't do anything. It was like, Vano can hold the tower, and I am just going to farm. And then they didn't follow me in the jungle, and then you just get away with it, right? And then you're just like, I'm not going to come out until I have Radiance MKB at 22 minutes.
I think just to bring it back round to the point we're trying to make here, first of all, the Wraith King game I played today was very similar. I literally made no effort to do anything whatsoever. And we were 9k down at 25 minutes. But I was top net worth also at this time, where the team's down like 9k, and we bring it back to an even gold league later, 32 minutes, because having that be or end all carry is like going to be strong for your team, especially if the rest of them are really struggling and feeding. There's no point getting involved if you're just going to be a carry that's now all of your heroes are struggling with no net worth rather than just 4 of them. We talked about ease of execution earlier. Dota's finally balanced this balance between, farming and being aggressive using spells. In lower MMRs, spells won't be used correctly in the right way. Heroes won't be aggressively positioned properly. So that super high pace, aggressive Dota that you see in Immortal Plus bracket and that you see in the pro games simply just won't materialize in lower MMRs because people won't be coordinated, won't use spells in the right way, etc., etc., etc. So if you're going to try and play some really aggressive position 1, where you're going to build aggressively, you're going to fly in, you're going to be left disappointed. It's not going to work out, and you're going to be frustrated that you can't get anything to fly. Meanwhile, the enemy Spectre's just AFK in jungle. That's kind of the reason why. That's like the foundation of the reason why we're saying this stuff. Yeah,
it comes back to the snowball point that we've mentioned a lot. How do you win games of Dota, and how at any level? And the key comes back to when you're ahead to get further ahead. And 95% of games are going to be won in this snowball kind of way, where you've got a lead and you snowball it to a bigger lead. Like 5% of games are kind of crazy up and down, but most of the time you're going to be 10k up, then 20k up. And you need to think about your role as a carry. You're carrying the game. That means, let's say 25 minutes, you are, or 20 minutes maybe, meant to be the strongest hero on the map, and you're meant to come online with all that farm and gold to take the big team fight, take the big objective, take the rush, take the towers. And through doing that, you open up the game, you snowball. It's quite formulaic at the end of the day. And so as a carry, you can't forget that that's your speciality, that kind of later point in the game. So don't do stuff earlier on that's going to slow that snowball down. Like, if I think about
slow that slow ball down.
Yeah. If I think about playing in party games, where you got a mix of ability, and if there's ancient players that are playing carry, the biggest mistake I always see is that they try and get involved when they shouldn't. And even if you successfully get involved, even in those cases where your TP rotation, you get 2 kills, wow. Or even in the case where like your TP rotation means that your team doesn't wipe and you get 2 kills, like some massive swing like this. Even in that kind of 1% scenario, it's like, oh, is that even better than just AFK farming? Like, it's very close. Like, the best thing you can achieve from a 10, 15, even 20-minute rotation as a POS 1 is like, oh, it's really not certain if that's better than you just AFK farming and pushing the map.
Yeah, and when you see pros make these kinds of moves, it will invariably be because not only are they TPing to get involved in a fight, they know that there's farm immediately there as well.
Yeah.
It's like it's not just a simple calculation when you play POS 1 of, oh, there's a fight, I should be able to contribute a bit, let's go. It's like, if there's no other reason to be there other than a fight, like a lot of pros, they're just going to be like, well, I'm farming here. If I go there, I might get a kill, but then my farm's kind of iffy, I'm in a weird place, etc., etc., etc. So
I think, yeah, with the pros, if you watch loads of pro games, you'll see, I think you would see quite a lot of POS 1 rotations, but it's because they're playing at such a high level that it's just not, I don't think is the optimal play in pubs. I think in pubs, 90% of the time, if it's 20 minutes or earlier and there's some kind of rotation possibility where you could rotate to a tower and like run over to a fight, that's just not going to be better than just keeping on your farm. And honestly, it sticks in my mind so much, the games I've seen where the carry does it. They do it once, wow, your game's fucked. You've just really stopped your farm for the next like 3 minutes. Your snowball goal progression has really taken a hit. Like rather than 650 GPM, you're now looking at 500 GPM. Makes a big difference. They do it a second time, the game's over. You've not farmed enough. You're now too weak to continue farming. You've missed this timings, whatever. Like it's over. It's so easy to throw games, I think. Like
way more games are lost because the carries haven't farmed than there are because the carries have not got involved enough, like pre 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
That's a good way, yeah, of looking at it.
The latter one sticks in people's minds because they're like, oh, why in my like Omega farm?
Where's my Sven? Oh my god, yeah.
And sometimes they do grief by not getting involved, but like you say, that'll happen 1 time to 25 times where the carry gets involved too much and then stops being a carry because they're not farmed and snowballing enough. So yeah, it comes back to the basic point of if you want to kind of climb at these lower ranks, honestly, just focus on your farming more than anything. Don't try and be fancy with your engagements or your like fighting in the first 20 minutes. Just seriously, just think about hitting those creeps and getting buff. And the enemy team won't be getting buff because they'll be headlessly running down mid lane fighting. You just get buff and then come and win the game at 20, 25, 30.
Yeah, let's pivot now to playing support in the lower MMRs. Adam, you've been your MMR has been kidnapped, taken hostage, and you've been dumped back into Guardian. Or I say back into. You've been dumped into Guardian. What adjustments would you make as like a support player, both in terms of the heroes you're picking, or actually, this is probably a bad way to phrase it because you could get away with playing much fancy heroes. Okay, let's forget that. Your average Guardian player, like what should they be doing in the support role in terms of heroes and also in terms of like gameplay, do you think, if they're trying to climb?
Wards. Hitting enemy heroes in the lane. Not just sitting at the tower and sapping XP. Buying a lot of regen in the lane. Using your spells in the lane. Not just sitting on full mana. You can use your spells to hit get secure range creeps. If it looks like your carry's not going to get it, you can deny your own creeps. And if you want to hit the enemies with spells and hit the creeps at the same time, if you're trying to get the CS. I'm thinking of like Crystal Maiden in my head. The perfect Crystal Maiden thing to do is to secure the range CS and hit both heroes with a Crystal Nova. And you get a couple peps in on the support while they're slow. And then you walk away. And then you repeat.
And then you win MMR.
And then pull. And then it goes without saying. But a lot of the time, I think with the support, you just got to think about what you want to do. And then do it. As opposed to like asking instead of just sitting around, be like, I'm going to hit them. It might not be the right thing to do, but you're doing something. And you're distracting the enemies from your carry. So,
I'd augment Adam's answer by putting a bit of priority. So everything he said I agree with, but it's quite a big list, and to say, like, think about all that stuff, I think a little bit overwhelming. I
would just say do something over doing nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think put at the top of the list spells, put your focus on... I'm not taking the piss. I'm not taking this. There's a lot of things to think about support. You listed like 6-7 points, which are all valid. But I think if you're going to prioritize what you are focusing on, literally focusing on, put the spell casting to the top, and then put the kind of physical harass body in the way second, and then pull in third, and then ward and get is a bit more mid game, say. But in the laning, genuinely, like, focus on, can I cast my spell on them and get a couple of right clicks off
your mana for their HP.
Yeah. And then
let your mana bar not be full so it can actually regen. You know what I mean? Buy some mangoes and then just keep casting spells. If you have more regen than they do, you will win the lane.
Yeah.
It
wasn't that long ago that the optimum way to play support was to spam all of your mana and then die to tower. Like honestly, if you played support in lower ranks, you're playing a Jakiro, a CM, Ogre, insert hero here. You use all your mana on spells. You do take tons of HP off the enemy, pos 3, pos 4, whatever is in your lane. And then you even feed a death once or twice in the lane. It's totally fine. You buy regen, you come back, you use your regen on your carry. You will just win the lane, I feel like. You'll just win the lane from doing that.
Well, the thing is since it is lower, to begin with, the players are not going to have as much regen. And then they're also going to be slower bringing it out with their courier, or they're just not going to buy it all and then they're going to die, or they're not going to buy it all and they're going to be passive and you're going to get free farm on your carry. That's the two things that are going to happen. And you're going to bring out more regen, and you can even top off your carry, and then they're just going to have the time of their life,
The other point I'd like to emphasize is, so you're blowing all your spells, being really active on that, and exchanging your mana for the HP, try and get some hits off or tank hits away from your carry so they've got a fun, easy time. Great. That's prime focus. And then the second kind of to do is pull in, and I think the side can pull. So you'll maybe push the lane because you're being aggressive with your spells and you're hurting the enemy off laners really nicely. Maybe you get a kill, probably will. Your second important task as the 5 is to get the creep equilibrium back closely to your tower. You achieve this via the hard camp pull on the side. If you focus on those two aspects, hands down, if I play with any support player and I have them focus on those two aspects, we get kills over and over. We get the creep where it's safe for me to farm and helps us get more kills over and over. And we win the game because we've smashed the lane. They are the two magic ingredients to smashing the lane as a support.
Yeah, and I would say that the hard camp side pull reset is 10 times better than the easy camp pull.
Yeah.
Because the easy camp's so far away now, and you have to stack it. So you're talking about a minute as to where you're not around your carry. You're just kind of leaving them. Now, if you're just doing an easy camp pull after you've already pushed the lane, that's fine because your carry's safe. But it's not like this thing where, okay, the lane has started and I'm just going to sit at the easy camp, wait for 53, stack it. Okay, now I'm going to wait for 17, pull it. That's 30 seconds where your carry is just getting right-clicked by 2 heroes.
Yeah.
So the hard camp side pull is so much better because you get to be relevant, your body's around, you get to cast spells still. It's just so much better.
Yeah, I fully agree.
You mentioned, Adam, to make sure you're doing something rather than nothing in your head. And then Marco, I suppose, put some specifics on it. Looking at further than the laning stage, what would you say that looks like? Doing something instead of nothing? Because for me personally, when I play a support, there can definitely be periods of time where I kind of don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm sort of just running to where I think action might happen. Or I'm sort of, there's a ward in the stock, I guess I'll do that. There's no real thought behind it necessarily. How would you suggest low-rank players like Crusader, etc., navigate the post-laning stage? What's the job of the support in the post-laning stage?
I would... So it's... This is tough.
Do you want me to...
I don't... The first thing that pops in my head is no one buys enough sentries. I don't think that's the most important thing. That's the first thing my mind gravitates towards. Because they're on a timer, right? So... And dewarding is a big thing. Dewarding a ward gives you so much XP and gold. pays for itself like 4 times over if you're able to do it.
Yeah, this point needs to be hammered home because people ward because obs are free, but in lower ranks, people very seldom sentry ward, and like it's so worth it. Like people, myself included, have it ingrained in their mind that buying sentries to de-ward is like throwing away money, your own personal money, your own personal gold, so that your team might get better vision, but they might not. That's not the equation. You buy sentry wards. If you de-ward an obs, like Adam just said, it pays for itself like 4 times over. Not only do you get this invaluable vision deny, you also get all of the money back for the sentry and a ton of XP. It's like buying tome on yourself in terms of what it does for your game, and it's just money spent on yourself. Simple. Like there's
I mean that's why some points in the mid lane, if you know the enemy has a ward, you let the mid buy the sentry so that they get like the golden XP, and it's just like slingshots them. But besides like vision denial, which is huge, obviously, and that goes without saying if they have a invis hero, obviously sentries and smokes or sentries and dust. The other thing you want to do is, I guess you want to try and coordinate either kills or backing up someone that you think is going to get gone on. This depends on the flavor of the game. You think usually it's with your offlaner or the other support, and you want to, do 3-person hit squads on enemy heroes and cause rotations, and then you leave. Or if you think your most important hero is going to get gone on, you kind of want to be behind them and protect them. Wait. If you know something's going to happen, if you're already there, you stop the gank. You either tank the gank or you get a counter kill, or you delay, allowing the rest of your team to TP and respond. I think those are the big things.
Can I add as well?
Yeah.
So I definitely agree. The ward-in point, that's kind of interesting one because I feel like across the ranks, support players generally are decent at having wards. I think you're right that sentries probably lack a bit. It definitely is something where just every couple of minutes you should be hoovering up what wards are available and always having them on you. Okay, fine. In terms of playstyle, to the point Adam says of you either playing a hit squad or you're playing defensively, what I would suggest is walk to a side lane, walk to the top or bottom, and be in the trees, out of vision. You're either going to find a kill with your pos 3 when an enemy throws up, or you're going to help defensively support one of your heroes when the enemy turns up. You've then got your TP on cooldown, ready to TP across the map or to the mid.
Yeah, mid lane is like you TP to the mid lane. That's what you like. If they go on your mid, you TP there. It's not like you sit in the mid behind the trees. And it's just awful.
But also,
I like the side lane. I like the side lane analogy or whatever example you gave.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more than an example. It's literally write it on a piece of paper and put it on your monitor. Do that. Do it over and over and over. Walk to the side lane. Very key as you walk. You do not TP to the side lane and do nothing. You walk there. Your presence in the trees is either a kill or a defensive support. And then your TP is ready for you to rotate to another lane when a rotation is necessary. That little recipe list will get you so far.
Honestly, that might be the answer to the question we had at the start. That's one of the best feelings is as a support, knowing that they're going to do something, and you sit in the trees and they don't know you're there, and they go and you just totally counter what they're going to do because you're already standing there waiting, and they're not expecting it. It's such a good feeling. It's 3 heroes go on your offlaner, and then you're like, oh, 3-man Crystal Nova, Frostbite, and then I ult, and then they're like, oh god, what do we do? And you get off a Pango ult or something because you've distracted, and then it's just you clean up. That's
what's the likelihood an enemy hero is going to go to a side lane? It's 99%. So if you go walk to a side lane and hide in the tree and wait, it's pretty 99% chance that you're going to do something of value, as opposed to the common mistake of I'm going to TP to the mid lane, watch creep die with 3 other heroes, do kind of nothing,
walk top, see someone show middle, walk back middle.
Yeah, you just wasting time. Like that's what happens up to divine. So if you just walk to these side lanes, you'll do so much work as a 5.
Or walk to a side lane that is already, one of your carrier, one of your cores is in it. You walk up in full vision, and then you start pushing the wave with your auto attacks or something. Or you're just showing. Like, half of being a support is not being seen.
Definitely,
That's the whole thing, is like, if you show, and really you're not doing anything by pushing, it's such a detriment. Unless you're a pushing support and like trying to take the tower. Like, that's a whole other thing. If you're like a Jakiro or something, obviously, and you're trying to take the safe lane tier 1 to open up the map, yeah, that's great. But if you're just like, I'm going to breathe, or I'm going to liquid fire the wave or something, it's like, I'm really doing my part here. It's like, no, just sit in the trees. And then when they go on your off laner, you're like, oh, breathe fire from the trees into, Ice Path, into Macro Pyre. That's 2 heroes, and then we take a tower for free.
I think as the 5, you're very preemptive playstyle. It's the mid, or say it's pos 4 Roma that are going to be moving and kind of initiating and making the ganks happen. But as the 5, or the way I see the 5, is that you're preempting these moves. So you're in the side lane kind of ready to connect for a gank, because obviously the enemy's going to turn up in the lane and you'll have a kill squad ready to kill. Or you're preemptively going to defend your carry who's kind of farming somewhere. I feel like that's a way to think about the 5 as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the longer the game goes on, the more important it is that you don't show, and the more important it is that your job just becomes get your spells off in a fight and try and survive. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, try and get your spells off. If you can get 2 rounds of spells off in a late game situation as a support, like, you're doing well. And the way you achieve that is by not showing and being in a difficult an unlikely position behind your heroes. We said it before, the targeting in lower ranks is very poor. If you just play back behind your cores, you're going to be in a good position to get spells off. The worst possible thing you can do is like try and go for some aggressive ward, or just like walk by yourself in the jungle and just feed, die. You're a pos 5 and it's 40 minutes into the game, you'll die like very, very instantly. So the longer the game goes on, naturally your relative power decreases, the carries increases, so you need to be playing much more timid and just trying to pop in 2 spells, well, all your spells hopefully, pop out again. Like that's like how you want to be playing.
Yeah, you shouldn't be in the mix in the middle of the fight. You should be on the periphery, just casting your spells.
Yeah.
You're not the initiator, let some other geezer do that.
Yeah.
A point about just a final point on as of pos 5 and kind of meta of lower ranks. I feel like there is this bit of a negative spiral effect that there's a tendency to congregate in the mid lane. So when the enemy has 3 heroes in the mid, that then makes your team want to have 3 heroes in the mid, and then you end up just having this kind of 4 mid, which feels very, very common in these lower games. And I don't think you want that to happen. And so if you're a 5, I can understand it. It's pretty tempting, and like, why would you not go mid when there's 4 heroes mid? But I do think if you're going to climb, you should get into the mindset of trying to not make that happen. And if you're walking to the side lane and like waiting in the side lane trees and saying to your team or your 3 and 2, let's kill in the side lane or play in the side lane or farm the side lane, or just leave mid and let one hero nuke the wave and that be it. If you can do that, you are going to be playing the game better, and you're going to have a better chance to win, as opposed to, say, getting sucked into the meta of all heroes congregate mid, which is tempting, but really is not the way to go.
Yeah. Let's spend a little bit of time on sort of the overall metagame in the lower MMRs. It's guild gaming time. People are playing in parties more than ever. We've sort of been focusing on imagining a game from a solo perspective. But if you're playing in a big party stack, you've got all your friends together, you're going to smash up some Guardian party ranks or whatever. What kind of heroes should we be picking? Like, what kind of style should you be picking? Do you think it's optimum to just play some 4 Protect 1? Like, what things are you looking for in a draft? I'll start by saying that I think you want some stuns, probably. You want a couple of stuns. Always going to be helpful.
Stuns are fun.
Stuns
can't have fun without fun, or can't have fun without stuns.
Yeah,
there's the tagline for the pod.
Do either of you have any thoughts about like what kind of hero compositions you want to be seeing? Do you want to is it sort of the same as solo? You want to be seeing, like your Wraith King and your Spectre, and then heroes that are strong laners or tankier, stunny, more stuns, more tankiness? Is that the general vibe? I just think
you play what you're comfortable with. I'm sure there's some people in Guardian that like their best heroes are
Storm Spirit and Quap and stuff like that.
Or like I was thinking like Chen or Earth Spirit or something. Like
wow, that really would be a
like wonky ones, right?
Yeah, some.
And I wouldn't discourage anyone from playing it if they actually think they can pull it off. I mean, certain things are easier.
Yeah.
But if you're not practiced on Bane, I mean, you're going to lose because you're going to ruin a team fight or something by hitting the wrong targets.
Yeah, it's definitely true. Like, I climbed with Meepo, so
yeah.
It's definitely, there are definitely exceptions. But if you're just starting from a blank slate, I suppose the more easy to execute heroes are probably going to be like better for you overall. Yeah. Marco, a point like from the core perspective, do you just pick 3 greedy cores? Like that seems maybe a little bit overkill. If you were coaching a stack of lower MMR players, and you had no idea what heroes they were good at, say for example, say we're going in with a clean slate, are you picking like a greedy mid and a greedy carry and telling your off lane to be some really annoying strong lane or something like a centaur, or how do you approach that? Do you think it matters?
I feel like I'd vibe with your stun point, and I would stress the ease of execution point again. So, like we said with the spec, Wraith King, stun, tanky, survivability, simple game plan, farm, then win. Even in the mid, I would not suggest... I feel like tempo mids are going to be a little bit difficult to execute because they're relatively slightly complicated heroes versus, say, something like I know Kunka's got a bit of execution to his spells, but some meaty Kunka that's just going to not lose the lane, is going to farm, is going to be meaty in the fights, is quite straightforward execution of spells.
Just a grim... I would honestly recommend just a gross mid hero that is not going to lose a lane and is quite possible to crush a lane, and then isn't some super hard one, like isn't some Naga mid or some even like an OD or a TA, like I wouldn't say go for any of them. I would just say go for like a Necro, a Viper. It's just the one that's going to crush a lane and just come out with like Greaves or like an Atos. And if you've got your big fat POS 1 behind you, which I presume that you will, you're going to be like loving life, I think, in a party stack situation.
Yeah, I think I will say like with harder carries and stuff, probably better to trend towards that because the lower you go, people can't close out games. So naturally, the harder carries are just better.
That's true, yeah.
You're going to have something that scales into the late game. That's not why Spectre is so high win rate, but if you do have a Spectre, it'll help. That you have that point in your favor as well.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. It's definitely a true point. And some heroes scale well and have relatively good ease of execution. Like I'm thinking of a hero like DK, hero like Necro, I think scales pretty well. So you can do some thought experiments with stuff like that. Even a sniper, sniper's always going to have like a better win rate in the lower MMR. Zeus crushes lower MMR games. People don't target well. Zeus can get off all the spells without people realizing, etc., etc.
You know that sniper and low MMR has to be such a nightmare to deal with. How many times do you think people have walked up high ground into shrapnels, dive past in tier 3, and just like died of headshot procs? You know what I mean?
No doubt about it, yeah. From the 4 point of view, do you maybe want a word on playing position 4? because this is kind of a nebulous role, perhaps the most difficult to grapple with. Would you say it's good, is for a good role to climb with? I'm inclined to say yes, but I wouldn't really know how to advise. It seems like quite specialist. I could imagine someone crushing lower MMR games with a POS4 Skyraf or something. But it seems like kind of a specialist kind of role in lower MMRs. I wouldn't suggest, you just pick Mirana every game and
no.
have an impact. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it's kind of a bit more gimmicky.
In lower, it's just five. It's the 5 with more gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can be, for sure. Sometimes it's the 5 with more gold, and sometimes someone plays some wacky Pango POS4 that rushes Maelstrom and becomes a farm stealing 4th core.
Yeah, it becomes a 3.5.
Marco, when you think about playing POS4 in lower MMR games, would you be thinking about playing some Earthshaker? It's quite hard execution. No. Yeah, like what are we thinking here? Are we just thinking of like an Ogre or a Jakiro? Because those heroes don't particularly scale well, but they have ease of execution and they're strong in the lane. Like, how do you navigate the 4 pool?
I liked your Sky Shout. I think you want a spellcasting hero with kill potential. So I'm not into the Jakiro one as much because I think his kill potential is less. But someone like a Sky or Lena, someone whose spells are very strong.
Yeah,
I don't like Earthshaker. Go on.
I think you could get away with like a Spirit Breaker. How do you think about heroes like Spirit Breaker or Tusk that are very gank heavy? Do you think they're worth considering, or do you think you want a more scaly hero like the ones you mentioned, Lena, Skyrant?
I would.
Scaly? You mean like a Slardar?
Well, that's a option as well. You definitely would see plenty of POS4 Slardar, I think, in lower MMRs.
Yeah,
I think generally say Tusk, Barret are good strong 4s, but I would shy away from them if you're lower tier wanting to climb, because I feel like those 4s are more reliant on the team and the team play, whereas if you want to be more individualistic, how can I boost my climb chance the best? I feel like a spellcaster like Lena, Skyraf, you are the one who's doing the more work. Like, you can solo heroes as one of those two. You can get solo kills, or in the lane, your partner can do anything they want, and you yourself can like really dominate it. Whereas I feel like, say, Tusk or a Barra or a Shaker, say these melee heroes which are nice and buff, they very much require some synergy. You have to say go in together or make the play together for them to realize work. So I like the vibe of a spellcaster more. Some spellcasters like say, should you play Line in the 4? I don't. I know it's a spellcaster that say he's got some big damage with his finger, but I think as a 4 is I don't like. I think a Sky or Lena is much easier to execute. Your spells are easier. Will do more work. Line as a 4 is just super weak.
Yeah, you talk about having a hero where you can sort of do it yourself. How far does that extend? I would have thought, or I don't know, but I would have thought that you might cringe at the thought of like a bounty hunter 4 or something that basically just wants to be a core the whole game.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Or what about there's a puck 4 or something. It's like, well, I suppose puck's quite hard to execute, but you know what I mean. In lower MMRs, people will pick
even
a 4.
Like Mirana 4, like that's
even like
predicated
Windranger
on
4,
you hitting arrows. Yeah, I don't like Windranger 4 either, but that's like I don't want to see it at a high level either.
Yeah, I think spellcasters that do big impactive spells, and I
like
thought that's
Lena.
not so someone that's not gold orientated as a 4, like you say, the bounty say, or some Pango that pivots into a more 3. I don't know. I don't think that is the best way to go about 4 lower down. I think you would get more done by just abusing the fact that the enemies are gonna get wrecked by all the spells that you actively use on them, as opposed to you kind of do some fancy transition into a 3 core. That's too complex. Just to keep it simple, just spam your spells on the enemies, and I think you will do major work. If you're a Skyraf, you'll just do so much work in the lane, just spamming your Q, and the enemy won't shut you down. They should go aggro on you and kill you. In this perfect world, say they're not going to do that. If you're a Lena, say you're defensively kind of weak, but lower ranked games are not going to be punishing you the way a pro player might punish a Skywrath. So you've got license and the free reign to really piss people off with your spells in the lane, and then in the mid game, by virtue of your spells, you're capable of getting solo kills or being that initiator that finds kills. Absolutely. Whereas say someone like, I don't know, Tusk, Barret, you are reliant on more synergy in your team.
Here's a hero that fits your description quite well. Spellcaster.
You guys say Rubik.
Yeah, Rubik. It means the most popular.
He is popular. I think
I don't hate it.
Harder to execute.
Is that all that it is? Is it the ease of execution point versus
Too
the
many,
Lina and Skywrath?
Too many options. Paralysis by overanalysis. or like just you have too many options of stuff to...
Rubik's
Fadebolt is great in lane, but you're also slow and made out of paper.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're probably going to die 12 times.
Yeah, I think too complex.
Yeah, a small shout out as well to Tiny. Tiny is an excellent pos 4. I think he's better in higher MMR games, but I think the hero is so ridiculous with the combo that I wouldn't mind someone playing getting some Tiny games in lower MMR. I'm sure you will be okay with that. You just need to understand that you're a melee hero and that, you know, your limitations.
The biggest crux it comes down to, though, if you're playing this 4 is, to me, active spellcasters. The most frustrating part of a 4 not doing the job is that you'll say the 1, 2, or 3, or 5, and you're desperate to have some spells cast by your pos 4 so that kills can happen or pressure can happen on a lane. Like, at the end of the day, you really just got to be casting your spells in the side lanes to make a gank happen or just to make pressure happen. That's all you're doing, and your teammates will link up with you. You will find kills. If not, you will apply pressure, and that's good. The worst thing you can do is just be a bit AFK and not actually cast spells on anyone.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any closing thoughts? Any words of wisdom that you want to bestow on the poor sods like me, the poor lower MMR grinders?
When ahead, get further ahead.
All right, Artosis.
Yep.
Not really. I mean, active thinking, right? That's we hit that point all the time, but it's always good to remind. Because
there is a lot to
I can tell you, yeah. I mean, you go into the game, and they say you should just be like, I want to focus on these 2 things this game, and you just do those. And then you don't have to. You can limit the things you're thinking about.
Yeah.
I know that if I ever play a real Dota game again after all this Ags Lab, it's gonna be rough. Cannot chill like you do in Ags. I'm gonna have to like reformat my brain.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's it then. Do I have any specific advice? I don't know. I suppose I'd just echo what Adam said. I think picking a couple of things to focus on is a pretty good bet. I would say not focusing on not dying is quite a good one in general. Yeah. I'm
going to say focus on spells.
Focus on spells, focus on not dying. I think that's a good couple there.
And I just get wound up if anyone says spells are cast, because the 99% source of frustration I find in games is being like, why aren't these spells being cast on someone? So I really think from just hundreds of games of evidence building up, the spells aren't cast enough, and that needs to be your number one in the active list of thinking. And then go to the side lane and then buy some wards. We
need episodes 100 and whatever how to use spells. I actually think we need that, because we need to elaborate on this use spells. I mean, I know it's a simple thing to say, but how does one simply use spells? Just run at a hero and use spells? I guess I should be TPing mid because I see a hero mid, so let's just TP mid and run at them with some spells.
You don't go mid, Stan.
Anyway, yeah, I know, I'm just illustrating the point, but right. Episode 102 in the books. Join us again next week. We'll be back with another exciting, enthralling topic, as always.
See how you've done in your climb. See if you're divine.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah. Big news next pod. You'll either see me flying in Divine, or you'll be the last episode of the pod, or something like that.
He's out. Leaves the guild.
Yeah. Final whistle time.